What is going on, everybody? How you doing? Welcome to episode 1080, Talking Buffalo, your weekday daily driver for Buffalo Sports Talk and more. My name is Patrick Moran. Thank you to everyone out there, as always, for tuning in, whether you're watching the show, whether you're listening, however you consume this show. I do appreciate you guys very much. A big shout out to both of our sponsors, Sunny Reds, 1841 Abbott Road, also Imperial Pizza, 1035 Abbott Road. Got some live shows coming actually at both places. I'll hit on those here in just a few minutes. This is our Monday podcast. If you happen to be watching us on the video side, potentially live, we're live. Sunday night, 9 p.m. as usual. I'm joined by Joe from Queens, who's not very happy with me right now.
Yeah, I'm watching the NBA Finals right now as we speak because Pat had to be like, "Well, I don't care about the finals. We got to record a podcast tonight. We got to do content. Everyone, Tooch needs it. Ralph needs it." I'm like, "People are watching the finals, buddy," and he's like, "No one cares." I mean, I don't know if he sounded like that when he was typing that to me, but yeah. Because people at Porch Fest weren't in Pacers jerseys, so you were like, oh, they're not going to care about this.
Yo, Porch Fest was dope, by the way, but there was all right. Well, first things first.
No, first I'm not. Let's get to the Kraken because I'm going to crack your skull in a minute because I'm missing a sad game because Halliburton got hurt, even though like I'm no love lost for the Pacers and all that. That's terrible how he got hurt. And instead, instead of watching, I gotta watch it on my phone. So I'm gonna barely pay attention to your takes. So just I'll just nod in agreement with everything. So congrats, this is gonna be your show tonight. So as I'm pouring my beer,
what kind of beer?
It's a Mast Landing, which is from Portland. It's from my Portland trip with my wife, and it's a double dry hopped IPA. I'm seeing if there's anything else. It's Citra with Citra and Strata hops, 6.5%. Cheers, got a good color to it, and
nice.
Yes, there you go. Winter is coming for Pat because he's making me do this podcast where, we're talking about nothing like Seinfeld episodes. So anyway, go ahead.
Well, we're talking about a couple things today. I'll get in that in just a minute. By the way, quick comment here in the live chat. CT says people in Buffalo don't care about basketball. I had to bribe bartenders to turn on the Knicks game. Let me be clear on something. Joe's ranting, and he's not 100% wrong. I'll be fair to Joe. He's not completely wrong. It's not that I don't think that people don't care about the game. It's that I don't think you care about the game, generally speaking. I get it. It's a game 7, but when the hell have you been saying, oh, man, Pat, what do you think about that basketball game last night? Sure was a good one.
Dude, we were talking about the final, about the Knicks like 3 weeks ago. So fair. It's game 7, so it's been a pretty good series, and I do watch it on occasion. I'm sure Joe Biscalia's watching it right now. I bet he's a big basketball.
Joe watches every game. There's no question. No question
but,
about that.
Look, it's game 7, and it's the first game 7 in like 7-8 years. It's been a while. So so anyway,
what happened with the injury. I will say though, I don't know if we'll get done recording this before the game's over. Most people are going to be watching this or listening on Monday. You already know how the game played out, but yeah, dude, we got a 1-point game with just 2 minutes left here in the second quarter. Pretty good game. See if Indiana can hold on the road without their best player. A few things. Then we'll dive into today's show. I want to spend some time today. When the schedule first came out back in what was it, mid-May. Well, it's only been mid-May. Holy shit, man. Anyway, we did our kind of like our tradition now. Joe, you power ranked all the road games where you would like to go to in order. I kind of want to do that with the home games from the perspective of somebody who doesn't live in Buffalo. I mean, if you live around here, you probably got season tickets. Or if you're like Sarah Larson in Florida, you go to every game no matter where it is, no matter who's playing. But from somebody like Joe from Queens who lives in New York, and let's say you're going to get the opportunity. Now, I already know you're coming up for the opener. We've talked about that. But let's just say typically somebody like you live in New York City, you might get a chance to come up to 1 or 2 games. We're going to kind of power rank what order you would want to go in, how you would rank those for the Bills' home games this year. I also got some, we'll call them historical Buffalo Bills fun facts for everybody. Look, it's that time of year. There ain't shit going on with the Buffalo Bills, all right? Training camp starts here in a couple weeks. We'll have a lot to talk about at that point, probably to the point where it nauseates Joe. But for now, We just got to kind of reach for some things. So I found some fun topics, some fun stats, and I didn't tell you any of these. So you people listening, will get some
I'm sure you stole these from Podfather, from Sal Capaccio, from who else did you steal? Greg T-Bone Thompson, all those guys.
Yes, Greg Thompson, Greg T-Bone Thompson.
That's his nickname, Greg T-Bone. That's what I'm calling him.
I cannot wait to tell him that. I've already told Joe about the Podfather thing. So Greg T-Bone, and we'll say Tom Set.
No, we're just gonna call him Greg T-Bone. He doesn't have a last name. It's just Greg T-Bone because he loves to show his steaks and all that sort of stuff. So, anyways, So I'm sure you stole all of it. I'm sure you stole all of them from them.
In the comment 3 weeks ago, we were talking about the Knicks and Bush Apple. That's fair as well.
Oh, you know what? I real quick before we go into these hot topics we got lined up, I thought of you the other day because I got a 4-pack of beer, which one of them was a blueberry Kolsch, and I was like, I bet you Pat would drink that.
Kolsch. I have a good friend who drinks it, but I've never actually tried it. I want to say this too. For people who are watching live, I could see on YouTube and Twitter it works, but I also see on the Talking Buffalo Facebook page, it's not working. I don't know why. So if you're on Facebook and you can't connect, hopefully you know to go on Twitter or just hit the YouTube link and connect that way. I mentioned we're going to have a couple live shows coming up here. I'm going to have Bulldog from WGR is going to be with me. We're going to be live at Sunny Reds on Wednesday night, July 2nd. Hopefully the weather will cooperate. We'll be on their brand new patio. That'll be a lot of fun. Might have a second guest for that show as well. I love Bulldog, man. He's one of my favorite people in the media. Just a genuine, really nice dude. Very eclectic.
What day is it supposed to be? July 2nd?
Wednesday, July 2nd, we're going to be live at Sunny Reds.
Maybe I'll ambush you since I'll be in town. I might ambush you.
Will you still be in town for that? Because I was going to say the other live show that we will be having is actually Joe from Queens.
That's me.
Is going to be with me live next Sunday. We're going to be at Imperial Pizza. I think we're going to do 8 p.m. We'll start an hour earlier because, again, Joe's actually in town. You'll have a long-ass ride back to the Hicks where you stay every time you come to the Western New York. But you'll be live with me on next Sunday. And then, like I said, Bulldog will be live with me July 2nd. So you will be in town for the Bulldog.
Yeah, we're going to be in town from Saturday till Friday. So we get there. Then we go to Rochester 4th of July for a day to go visit my mother-in-law. And then we go back home. Okay. So, it's going to be fun times.
Yeah, so I'm going to have those, like I said, those shows are coming up live. We're not going to have, after next week, Joe will be with me live. After that, we're not going to have a Sunday night live show on the video side for a couple weeks after that. Just a lot of things going on with both of us on Sundays until training camp starts. And once that gets going, we'll get back to the live shows. But we're going to take a little bit of a break from doing that. However, we still will have a podcast every Monday and a video on Sunday night at 9 p.m. It's just not going to be live. We'll have pre-recorded it at some point before that. And before we get into today's Bills topics, I do want to shout out Do Champions, a podcast. I went to Soul Beach Bar in Hamburg today being Sunday. They had a charity bocce ball tournament at Soul Beach. Harrison Phillips comes back to Buffalo every year and does it. One of the guys from Do Champions puts it together. It's the 5th year of doing it. I'll tell you what, dude, shout out to them. They had a great lineup there today being earlier on Sunday. Jim Kelly was there. I left right before he got there, though, but Jim Kelly was there. Harrison Phillips, Aaron Williams used to play for the Buffalo Bills. DJ Jixer from 97 Rock, Sal Capaccio, you mentioned him earlier. He was there. It was a really good crowd, really good turnout, a lot of fun. They raised some money for charity. And, dude, I tell you, I wish Harrison Phillips still played for the Buffalo Bills. He looks impressive. He's impressive.
From what? Playing bocce? That's what you got? You want him back here? Because
physically, he's put together, dude. I nothing against Daquan Jones, but, man, I'd much rather have Harrison Phillips.
Has he been good? I was never a big I was never a big Harrison Phillips guy when he was here.
No?
I thought he was kind of overrated, and, I think people liked him because he did commercials, and it was he was kind of like the Kyle Williams, guy. He's blue collar, all those stuff. And I don't know. I wasn't really. I just remember he had a good start to like his second year. Then he blew out his leg, and then I just never really noticed him. And look, I like that's just how I thought of him as a player. I have no idea what he's doing in Minnesota. I get why people liked him. He's a very nice guy. Charities, all that shit. But
sure. He's played pretty well in Minnesota, man. I'd love for him to be back in Buffalo. But anyway, he was there. It was really hot out, by the way. This was the first true, legit summer-style weather we've had in Buffalo in all of 2025. The weather was perfect all weekend long. Sunny, hot, enough clouds to kind of shield some of the heat. A little bit humid, but you were making fun of it. Porch Fest, I went to Porch Fest on Saturday. That was awesome. Happy to report I did have Busch Light limes. I got a hold of some of them. I actually like them better than the apple. I got to say that, too. The apple's got a stronger taste, but the lime, I feel like I was pounding them. I had like 8 or 9 of those, and easy to drink. A lot easier to drink. I didn't get the heartburn like I do when I was drinking the apple. But anyway, back to this thing on Sunday. Like I said, Dude Champions did a really good job. Did a live show. Really good guests there. Aaron Williams, I never had met him before. He blocked me on Twitter years ago, man. But I met him briefly. I was introduced to him. Actually, he's a pretty, again, another well-built, put-together dude for a DB. He still looks like he can go out there and play right now. He hasn't played since 2016, man, but he still looks pretty damn young. You remember Aaron Williams with his career here in Buffalo?
Why did he block you? Do you remember?
Yes, because I made fun of him. It had nothing to do with football. It was about basketball. I played in a pickup game. Well, I didn't play. My nephew did. I was there, though, in a pickup game at Niagara University, and I was talking some shit to him. I thought it was funny. He didn't because he blocked me right at the time. But, do you remember Aaron's career here in Buffalo? It was kind of a weird one because he was a second-round pick, and he was drafted as a corner. And he did not play very well as a cornerback his first 2 years. It was looking like he was going to be a big flop. But then they moved him to safety, and he played pretty damn good at safety. He had like 4 picks. I remember that in 2013. But then, unfortunately, he got the neck injuries.
He was one of those rare guys who switched positions, out of nowhere. And, it worked for him. I mean, I remember as a cornerback, he was terrible. Like, he couldn't turn his hips. That was kind of like the MO against him. And then I think they made the switch against the Jets, or not the Jets, when Mike Pettin was there. That's when they switched him over, and that's when they turned it for him. So yeah, he was a good player.
I was actually at the stadium when his career, for all intents and purposes, ended. It was in 2016 in October, and the Bills were playing at Miami, and that's when Jarvis Landry just gave him that fucking cheap shot, hit him fucking high, and injured him, and he never played again after that. That was it. He got released afterwards. He thought about trying to play, but never worked out. But yeah, that sucks. And it's just, that's the life of, and I've heard interviews with him in the years that have followed. You could think that maybe somebody like that would harbor a lot of bitterness and resentfulness, but he never really did. It's kind of like, that's the way it goes. This is the sport we play. He didn't hate Jarvis Landry for, again, essentially ending his career. He handled that very well. But anyway, like I said, I had a nice little quick interaction with him today. It was some good shit. All right, let's get into these Bills home games this year. I want to take all 9 of them. If you can, I don't know if you've bothered to even look at the schedule anytime this week, but if you want to pull up the schedule anyway, I want you to rank these, and we'll go in reverse order, all 9 Bills home games. And the scenario is you could fly in from New York for any of these games, okay? And you're going to factor in who the opponent is. You can factor in the weather, what you think the weather is going to be, if that matters to you, what time of year it is, if it's a holiday, if you don't want to, you want to make sure you're home at certain times of the year. Is it a Sunday night game, whatever, all that stuff, anything you want to factor in. But the one caveat I'll say is let's get rid of price because they're all Buffalo home games. I'm giving you the complimentary ticket, all right, for these games. Everything else is on the table, any factor that you want to have. And I want you to go. We'll go in order from your least desirable trip to a Bills home game to your most desirable one. That's how we'll roll with this segment.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. I would like. I just have to say this in terms of, in general, like when I go home, I am looking at price, but you don't want to do price, which I get. I can handle the cold weather. Like, I'm not a wimp like you who doesn't want to go to games because you're like, I don't like the cold. I got bronchitis or whatever the hell you have. Who knows? But I can handle the cold. Like, I've been there was a time in my life where I think I went to the finale during the drought like 4 years in a row, and I went to every one of them, and I was like,
why?
Because I was coming home and I wanted to go and hang out. Like, I can't go. Like, that's part of the reason why I wanted to go to the game because I couldn't go in October. I was living here or November, so I wanted to go. The tickets were cheap. I like to drink, and that's why I wanted to go back. So with that being said, I don't factor weather. Now, would I prefer it to be nice out? Absolutely. But if you're asking me, would I rather watch a great team in December over watching a crappy team in September? Yes, I would rather do that than be in
Very fair.
pink shorts or whatever.
I'm gonna write your responses down old school style. I got a pen here, and I got some Imperial Pizza napkins, and shout out to them.
Shout out to. I'm sure you stole those napkins.
I did. Actually, I did. I literally.
Of course you did. Okay. All right. So number one, the least interesting to me, I'm going with the Saints. Week 4. That's a pretty boring team. Okay. They are, and I don't even know who's on their team right now because their quarterback died or he retired.
I think they still got Kamara.
Yeah, they got Camaro. Yeah, he's all right, but he's like 500 years old. Who else do they have? I don't know who else do they. James Hardy used to play for them or whatever that crappy wide receiver was.
You know what? Jokes aside, they did sign probably the free agent that I wanted the Bills to sign more than anyone else in all of free agency was the Kansas City Chiefs safety Justin Reed. I thought he was a great safety. I'm like, holy shit, would this be a good fit for the Buffalo Bills for Reed to defect to Buffalo? But the Saints ended up signing it. But anyway, I get what you're saying. They are not a very attractive.
They're just not attractive. I mean, at all.
Window shopping wise, there's not a lot to be interested in.
So that's my lead. And they're week 4. So yeah, I get like, hey, it's gonna be still nice out, but I'm good. The Bills have a lot of like November, like fall type games. So it's like you don't have to like be like, oh man, they're gonna be playing all these games in winter and all that crap. So that's number one as far as the least. Then there's Pats. I have Pats week 5. It's I don't know. Like, look, I think the Patriots are going to be good-ish. Like, I think they can. I don't want to say they're going to give Bills a run for their money, but I think they're going to be a wild card team. It could be cool to see Stephon Diggs, back there, but I have it there. I don't know why. I probably could move him out of there, but it's a Patriots game. So I'm putting them there. That's it. Number 3, I got the Dolphins week 3. It's going to be prime time, which I think, as a fan, I know like, we have this debates like, in terms of, I know you hate primetime games because you want to record a podcast live and listen to the Podfather and Greg T-Bone beforehand.
So you can steal their takes.
So you can steal their takes. And you can't do that this time around. I mean, unless you delay it 5 minutes and you see what they have to say and you're listening to one headphone and the other. But
that is just mean, dude. But
I know, I'm just a dick. What do you want me to tell you? But I, as a fan and not caring about this podcast, I do like nighttime games going to them because it's a long tailgate. You can have fun. It's all eyes on you. There's electricity. Like I've been to a couple different night games before, and I really like it. So that's probably why I have the Dolphins ahead of the Pats, even though I think the Pats are better than the Dolphins. But I think that's a game, that is my third least favorite. But I think that's actually a fun game to go to. Like I wouldn't. The Saints game is the only game, honestly, of all these games I can say like, ugh, that sounds icky. Right. Where the other ones, I think I could see someone be like, hey, it's not bad to go to these. So that's 3. Number 4, I got Tampa Bay, week 11, November. Tampa's got, obviously, they have a fun offense. Baker Mayfield's cool. You can see Baker versus Josh Allen, in that game. It's funny, the Baker and Josh, same draft class and all that sort of stuff. But, that would be a fun game to watch. They don't come here too often. I don't know if I ever told you this. My downstairs neighbor, he's a big Bucks fan. Which is kind of weird. So we talk a little bit of junk.
I know a lot of them from living in Florida. So.
Sure. Yeah. So they got their pirate ship and all that shit. The next one, I have the Bengals week 14. Okay. It's probably a bit lower, and I'll tell you what my controversial one is, but I'll get to that in a minute. So, but Bengals, that should be a fun game. definitely you got Burrow. They've had the Bills number. I know they've only really met twice, since 2020, and there haven't been good games. But that would be a fun game. I have that there in terms of where we're at. So that's number, I think, 5. I think
you're up you're up to 5 so far. You got the Saints, and by the way, I switched. The napkin wasn't working, so now I got little yellow sticky here. You got the Saints, the Patriots, Miami at 7, Tampa at 6, and Cincy at 5 right now.
Yeah, so that's 5. So yes. Okay, so next one. This would be number 1 in the least favorite games if it wasn't for it being the last season at the Ralph, or whatever the fuck they call it now, Highmark. Jets week 18. And I can understand if people are probably like, dude, like, I'm only there for the nostalgia of it being the last regular season game. And there is that point of, hey, they're going to be playing in the playoffs. Maybe they have a home game, so it really doesn't really matter, which, I completely hear that. That makes a lot of sense. But I would like to go to that game in terms of like the last game at the Ralph. Like, you can say that's something in 30 years from now when we're all old, out of shape. I could be like, I was there at the last game at the Ralph for the regular season. You piece of shit. And before they had luxury boxes, I was at that. So that's kind of how I feel like in terms of Reagan. But again, the game could be suck. It could be your backups in that game. It could be there could be a lot of crappy weather. Like, so I can understand if someone is like, that sounds terrible to go to, but I'm like, it is the last game there. If it was any other season, I would put that number 1 as the least. Like, I don't need to go there. I'm good, because even if there's something at stake, like, oh, if the Bills win this, they get home field or something. It's like, it's going to be a crappy game. So, but that's the nostalgia. I'm putting it in my top 4, I guess, is kind of what I have it at. So
okay, yep, that's at 4 for you.
Okay, the next one, we're in the top 3, right? Am I missing a game? We're in 3.
You still got 3 left.
Okay, good.
Pick them between Kansas City, Baltimore, and Philly. Those are the 3
Philly,
games
yes.
still left.
Okay, so the next one, it's Eagles, week 17. The only team, by the way, that I think they might be the only team Josh Allen has never beaten. I think. I could be completely wrong, but I think they're the only team he hasn't beaten, because they lost to them in 2019 when it was Carson Wentz. They lost to them in that overtime game, a couple years ago, where they lost and then they ripped off like 5 in a row. But I think it's the only team he's never beaten in the regular season. So, Ralph Wilson, check that in the comments if I'm right or wrong. But I'm pretty sure that like that's the only team he's not beaten. So that's going to be a great game. You got the whole, the Super Bowl champs. That's a Super Bowl preview as far as I'm concerned. It's good. That's a fun game. Week 17. I mean, the weather's going to be crappy, which, that's not great, but whatever. You're going to see the world champs. You might have to worry about Eagles fans because they travel pretty well and they're obnoxious. Sure. I lived with one before. So that, I think, is going to be a really fun game. So, like, put that there, top 3. Okay. Number 2, Chiefs, week 9. I mean, it's the game of the year. I mean, obviously things can change, obviously, but that's like the game of the year for the regular season in the NFL. Right. It just always is. It's in Buffalo. I feel like it's still kind of newish for the Bills to play them in Buffalo because they've only played them once in the regular season there since, God, I don't even know, 2017. That's only been, and I know they had the playoff, but it's kind of new to have them here a lot. That's going to be a fun game. Week 9. Not too crappy, the weather. It's kind of perfect. Like, it's in the fall still. Like, you're in November. I think that's a good thing. And then last, it's because my beautiful wife is buying tickets for me for this. And I'm going to it. The home opener, Bills-Ravens, that is definitely the one. I mean, look, the home opener, I don't give a crap if the Bills were 0-17 the year before. Mm-hmm. It's always the best. It's a holiday in that town. Like, and I've been to a few. I've been to a bunch of openers. I've been to a bunch during the drought, to be frank. I mean, the last opener I went to at home was the Bengals game in 2019 when the Bills won that game against Andy Dalton. But yeah, so that's kind of the thing. I definitely will put that in. And real quick for the comments, people are saying that Josh never beat Joe Burrow. That's true, but realized he did beat the Bengals in 2019. I was there. He beat Andy Dalton when he was the quarterback there. So I still think it's the Eagles that he's never beaten, and so that's a good thing. But look, it is a great home schedule. Like, there's only one or two. Like I said, the Saints is the only game to me that's like, barf on. Like, everything else I think is kind of is fun in terms of that. So it's going to be a good. And of course, you won't go to any of them because you're a cheapskate. You want to be home stealing takes from people on Twitter and going on, your podcast later, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
so
that's at least semi-accurate there. All right, so let me run these down as I look here at my yellow sticky. Reverse order. So you went 9 Saints, 8 Patriots, 7 Miami, 6 Tampa, 5 Cincy, 4 the Jets, 3 Philly, 2 Kansas City, 1 Baltimore. I'm going to run through mine real quick, and I'll be fast with mine, then we'll take a break and get into some other stuff. I'm going to admit something, though. You brought up something I completely and utterly forgot about, and that was the New York Jets finale being the last game ever at Highmark Stadium, because I have the Jets dead last on my list.
Sure.
However, because that's the last game ever, it might be number 1 on my list. And I'll tell you why. Just knowing that you were at the last game, you never forget that. I'm telling you right now, I don't even remember the year anymore, but not only was I at the last Sabres game ever at the Odd, I actually covered it in that big old yellow press box back in the day, way before blogs and podcasts and all that shit. They beat Hartford. I'll never forget that. And it was because in the first game in the arena, they played Detroit and got the shit kicked out of them. I think it was like 6-1 that game. But anyway, that was all those years ago, and I never forgot about that. So actually, the Jets would be number 1 based on that alone. But everything else, you kind of hit on it. Fuck that. And the difference between me and you is I do not like cold weather. So cold weather is a big factor to me. And also, if I'm going to spend money, if I'm going to invest the time, the money, and the effort to go to a game, I don't want to go to a game that the Bills lose. So that also factors in, at least with a couple teams, why I would have them low. But I would have had the Jets low, and I'm going to keep it there. Shitty weather is probably not going to mean nothing for the standings. And a lot of starters are probably not going to play, but it is the last game. But I can't change my mind already. Actually, the second worst one I have is Philly. For the reasons I said. Philly's an awesome team, but you know what? It's 3 days after Christmas. Your boy's going to be broke. It's going to be cold, and they may lose. So I don't want to go to a game right after Christmas when I'm already broke,
you're such a
my ass off
fucking
and
wimp.
lose. I know a lot
wimp.
of people are going to blast off on me in the comments, and that's fair. That's fine.
You're an embarrassment.
Well, yeah, I am, because the next one after that is Cincinnati. That's early December. Again, cold probably. Your boy needs some Christmas shopping money at that time.
You told me to start this off. You did not factor in price, but you're factoring price right now. So this
I
is
said the
bollocks.
ticket itself. All right, but all right, even if I don't factor in price, the cold and potentially losing are not something that I'm interested in. And I got a feeling, we've watched Joe Burrow 2.5 times against the Bills, and he's just cooked the Bills defense. And I don't know if I want to see that in person. So I have them there. I got the Saints after that. Nobody attractive, but
you think the Saints game is better than the Eagles game because
because I'm going to go to a win. I'm going to go to a win. I want to win the fucking game. If I go to the game, I want to leave with a W. If I'm cold and I walk to that parking lot drunk, hungover, or not even hungover, I will be hungover, drunk, probably hungry, and annoyed that the Bills lost, I won't be happy. So I got the Saints because they ain't losing. Plus, it's going to be September. The weather's going to be nice. Tampa would be after that because, again, November 16th is iffy, very iffy weather. But I do have a lot of friends from Florida I would try to convince to come to the game.
They're all going to come to see you, the guy who can't handle the cold. Yeah, okay.
Top 4, I got New England. They play them October 5th. I think New England's going to be a fun team to watch. I think Drake May is an exciting quarterback going into his second year. It's a game the Bills should win, but it should be fun. Stephon Diggs potentially playing in Buffalo for the first time against the Bills since leaving. A lot of nice storylines there. New England's the team that's on the come up, supposedly. So I'd have that there. Miami would be third. It is Thursday night. September 18th. I'm a big Bills-Miami rivalry guy. I've always enjoyed that rivalry. I don't like that it's a primetime game because I can't steal takes before I do a live show right afterwards. But everything else about that I would like. And then I don't really need to talk about the other two. Two would be Kansas City. I'm with you there. All the reasons you said. I'm very superstitious. I'm almost at the point where I kind of hope the Bills lose that game against the Chiefs this year. So maybe the fortunes will switch in the playoffs, although it didn't work before with that either. And then number one is Baltimore. What a great game. What a great Sunday night opener. The tailgating is going to be elite.
Can't wait.
The game should be really, really good.
You should just do a live podcast. You should just go there. Look, there's got to be some. I know you don't want to pay for a ticket, but there's got to be someone you can go and tailgate with, and like go in their van and afterwards, like do a podcast afterwards, just to live it up.
Sure. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, all right, let's take a real quick break. I was kind of looking at the comments here as I'm trying to catch up to everything, but take a real quick break. Plenty more coming back. Joe from Queens. All right, I'm back here with Joe from Queens, just going over a bunch of bullshit, to be honest with you guys, today on Talking Buffalo. By the way, I meant to do this early at the top of the show. I want to give a big shout out and congratulations to the guys at the Rockpile Report. They just celebrated their 10-year anniversary of having a podcast this past week. And, dude, that is, pretty damn impressive, man. I've been doing this for 7.5 years, and there's not a lot of podcasts out there that have been doing it longer, but they have been. 10 years, still going strong. Big fan of Chris on the producer side. They do the production quality of Rockpile Report is outstanding. And I'm a big Drew fan, too, because he's just a crazy son of a bitch, man. He'll be the first to tell you, if you want X's and O's, go watch Cover One. He's a guy there he says, irrational hatred towards some players and takes and rants and stuff like that. But anyway, just big.
Okay, all right, with the pandering. Let's get to the next topic. I got to watch this NBA game, okay, that I'm not going to be able to watch.
My time. Update here, where we're about 3 minutes into the third, Oklahoma State's up 5. Anyway, that would be amazing.
By the way, you're real quick. You're lagging very badly on the video side for me.
Am I?
Yeah, it's really. So I have to really listen to you now because it's annoying. Because when you're still talking, you stop talking on the video, but you're still talking in my headphones. So I'm like, great. So I don't know what happened. You're just torturing me now because I can't.
It's the Wi-Fi. It's just the way it goes sometimes with the videos. I tell people all the time, man. This is why you do subscribe on the audio side because you'll get everything in its entirety, no matter what.
Yeah, it's also how Pat makes more money. He can make his $1, which he won't pay me anything. So, but hey, by the way, like I said, everyone, please come out to Sunny Red Imperial next week. Sorry, and Sunny Reds too with Bull Up. But come to my show. I want everyone to say hi to me. Everything's on Pat. He's buying all of our beers. I'm making sure of that because he owes me back pay, back taxes for the 75 million times I've been on this podcast, and he's done nothing for me personally at all.
A comment. Illslayer 12 in the comments says Joe from Queen looks like Norm Macdonald.
Norm Macdonald, okay.
From Saturday Night Live, Norm Macdonald. All those years, you don't know.
No, I know Norm. I just don't. I've never been told that.
You don't see the reference?
No, I don't know. Okay, I guess I look like him. Maybe with the hair. I guess sure.
I was looking up, so I was just in a mood to find some stats. I am kind of like I get stat geeky.
Find some stats, sure.
I got 6. All-time Bills fun facts / stats that I want to drop on you and everybody listening and see if this might trigger some memories. You like old school stuff, man. You got a better memory than I do when it comes to the franchise, the history of the Buffalo Bills. Number one, and this is you'll know this one very well, but there are younger fans who probably don't know this, and this maybe is the Bills stat that blows my mind more than anything else out there, and that's former tight end Butch Roll caught 15 passes with the Buffalo Bills. 10 of those 15 receptions were for touchdowns. So when Chris Berman would say all he ever does is catch touchdowns, quite literally, 2/3 of his catches with the Bills were touchdowns. Your quick memories here of Butch Roll. 15 receptions, 10 freaking touchdowns, dude.
Yeah, I remember he caught 10 in a row for a touchdown when he got those. And I can tell you, I wish I could remember the games. I mean, you don't have the games in front of you, but I could probably name all of them. He did one against Miami, I kind of remember. I think he did one against the Colts in the home opener. But I will always remember when that streak ended, when he had the 10 catches for 10 touchdowns in a row. He had it in the Bills-Lions game, the finale of 91. I don't know if you remember this game, but it was a big game for Detroit, because if Detroit won, they won the division, and if they lost, Chicago won the division. I remember that week, the Bills were resting their guys. They made it abundantly clear we're resting everyone, and the Bears were pissed off. Like, Ditka was really pissed off. So they went down to they lost in overtime, the Bills, but in that game, they went to their backups, and Butch Roll caught a regular pass because he was only used in goal line. They always did play action, and they threw it to him. So he caught a pass, I remember, and he caught like a 14-yard pass. I was like, damn it, that's the end of his streak. And then he left that following season. He left that offseason, and he was gone. So, but yeah, he's jacked, isn't he? I remember.
Big music guy. He's in a band, or he plays music. I can't remember what instrument he plays, but he's really good. Mm-hmm. And he's in a band. He's done a lot of charity stuff here in Buffalo. Yeah, a big dude, man. Big ass dude. Student Body Right. That's the show I was on earlier. It says, seeing you in a sweater after today makes me wonder about your monthly AC bill. Yeah, it is pretty high, because it is definitely comfortable. And
that's all this guy does. He only has hoodies, and he eats chicken wings. That's all he does. That's his diet. That's his wardrobe.
That's fair.
It's unreal. I can't believe you've been married for that long, and your poor wife. I'm sorry to her.
All right, next one here. Bruce Smith, 171 sacks with the Bills. Obviously, everyone knows all-time sack leader. A stat that I thought was interesting, he has more than doubled anyone else in the history of the franchise. Like, he's got 171. Second place is actually Aaron Schobel, who's at 78. So even if you multiply that by 2, he'd only be at 156. Bruce would still have 15 more sacks. I guess the question is, look, if you're old enough to have watched Bruce play, no, elaboration needed. But are you a little surprised to learn that, or know that nobody else in the Bills has ever had 80 sacks there for their career?
No, because they've been mostly a shitty franchise outside of the 10 years. I mean, it's not shocking. That brings up something. Let me ask you this, because you bring up Aaron Schobel. Do you at all assess? Okay, so when you tell someone, hey, player X is the second all-time leader in sacks, they might say, hey, he needs to be on the Wall of Fame, we'll just call it. Or like Fred Jackson's the all-time leader or second all-time leader in yardage for rushing or whatever. Do you at all hold it against them for having to be in a franchise that sucks? And Fred Jackson's the number 2 rushing leader of all time, but it's I'm taking Marshawn Lynch. I'm taking Willis McGahee over him. In terms of I thought those guys were better players, and maybe you disagree with them, but he was just a longevity guy mixed in with they just kept getting rid of guys constantly there. And I'm just curious, do you at all hold it against when you're ranking them? If you're on the Wall of Fame committee and you're Fred Jackson should be on the wall, and I could go there on the other side and go, well, he's got 1,000-yard seasons. He's only there because of longevity. Do you hold that against them? If you were a Hall of Fame, Wall of Fame voter in terms of that?
In some cases, yes. With Aaron Schobel, I would say some people, I don't think the stats are overrated, and others they are. I just never when did Aaron Schobel have meaningful sacks? When did he have a big fourth quarter drive-killing, game-clinching sack for the Bills? When did he make a really meaningful play? There's guys who put up numbers, but they just never seemed to matter.
But
for the most part, that was him.
But you could say that about that entire era, though, of the drought. Who had clutch moments? No one did. That's why it was the drought. But you're right. He didn't. I always thought of him as one of those guys that he had 3 really good seasons, but I felt he was a byproduct of they blitzed a lot, and then he would get sacks because they blitzed, and he wasn't very good against the run.
Against them. To answer your, I think so. Now that I'm thinking about it, as you asked that, I think so. I also would say, if that player played on one of these good teams, would he be a good player on one of these good? Kyle Williams would be a good player on any Bills team ever. I don't know that Aaron Schobel would be anything more than AJ Epinesa right now for this version of.
He was. By the way, Schobel was in a Tim Graham story last week because Tim Graham did something on Belichick, and he quoted Aaron Schobel. I was wow, Aaron Schobel still talks, or he has a phone because he never once he retired, we never saw him again. And it was like the weirdest retirement thing where, if you remember, what was it? I think it was 2010, and they were going to a 3-4, and it was like, is he going to be an outside linebacker? And he just never came, and that was it. And they were like, yeah, he's on the retirement list. It was like weird, but anyways.
Mark, I'm typing in as he was responding. Mark in the live chat said the sack discussion aligns with Bean's ability to make a great defensive line. That's not completely wrong. I mean, we tried with Von Miller, it didn't work. I'm looking at stats right now. I'm just looking at career sacks for Greg Rizzo, and it's at 25. So he's not even a third of the way of where he's not even 1/3 of the way from where Aaron Schobel was, and your boy's making $20 million a year going forward at this point. Now, again, money, inflation, times are different now. But still, anyway, hold on. Let me pull up one more here from Harold here, first-time commenter, I believe, in our live chat. He says, if he'll pull up here, Schobel went to work in his family's restaurant, packed on some poundage. All right. Let's move to the next one. This one really interested me. Look, the Bruce Smith one, I think a lot of people knew, but Ed Oliver. Okay, so Ed Oliver is a top 10 overall pick, 9th overall pick for the Bills.
You hate him.
He's one favorite with me. No, because I thought he played excellent against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. I thought he was a disgrace in the playoffs the 2 years before that. Absolutely disgraceful to play as bad as he did against the Chiefs and the Bengals in those last 2 elimination losses prior. But I feel like he redeemed himself. He looked really good in the AFC title game. Anyway, Ed Oliver, former top 10 pick. I believe, 2019, all right? All the talk, all the hype. He's one of the best Bills, highest paid players. Did you know that Ed Oliver is still 4.5 sacks short of what Jeff Wright had here with the Buffalo Bills? Remember Jeff Wright? Don't nobody talk about Jeff Wright, man. It's always Bruce, Phil Hansen, Taylor.
Yeah, because Jeff Wright wasn't very good. I mean, he was okay. He hit a mullet. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Some numbers here. All right. He's still 4.5 sacks short of what Jeff Wright had here. Ed Oliver has 27 sacks in his career in 92 games. Jeff Wright had 31.5 sacks in 98 games. So 6 more games played than Ed Oliver, but 4.5 more sacks. Long story short, to this point of Ed Oliver's career, he's not even a better pass rusher than Jeff Wright.
Okay. Well, if I was... hey, you know what? If I was one of the film bros, I'd tell you to go to hell and go, it doesn't matter. You're just watching the box scores. Let me ask you this, because we're going to shit talk Ed Oliver a little bit. Who was a better player here at their heights, Marcel Darius or Ed Oliver?
When you say at their heights, I don't know, because Marcel Darius was not good for long.
Well, he was good for like a couple. I mean, he got $100 million. That's how good he was. He was good.
Yeah, probably Darius, I would guess.
Yeah.
Ed Oliver's been very streaky. He's just, I don't know, man.
I don't know. Look, I don't know either. Like, I don't know why. Look, when McDermott got here beforehand, I remember I looked this up. The Panthers, over his 5 years as a defensive coordinator, they're in like the top 3 in sacks for that entire, like, for 5-6 years. And they come here, and I'm pretty sure like the Bills are like dead last probably. So I don't know. I know the stat bros or the film bros will say like you have to look at pressures, you have to look at win rate, and all these fucking things that I don't feel like looking up. But I don't know. They need. I really hope we have a guy get over 11 sacks at one point, for us, for the Bills at some things.
Look, Ed Oliver is an all or nothing type player. I mean, he's either dominant or he's just not on. He's not there. It feels like.
And let me just say this about Jeff Wright. Going back to him, I actually was thinking about this the other day because I was listening to the Mad Dog.
About Jeff Wright?
No, well, yeah, a little bit. I'll tell you why. So the Mad Dog, Chris Russo, was talking about how he thinks, Lawrence Taylor is like the greatest defensive player of all time, which fine. Okay, you have your opinion. But I always think of him, like, it's him, Reggie White, and Bruce. And I always thought, Reggie White played with some studs in Philly. Like, they were like Clyde Simmons, Jerome Brown, Seth Joyner. Those guys are monsters. Mm-hmm. LT played with Banks, Pepper Johnson. Leonard Marshall was really good. Bruce played with Jeff Wright, who was okay. Leon Seals had a great nickname. Dr. Sack is awesome. That should be on a fucking shirt. Like right now, like someone needs to Greg Rousseau should just steal the nickname, be like, I'm Dr. Sack. And, like, the millennials won't know what the fuck he's talking about. Like, that's great. Like, he should just be on, like, that, Leon Seals, Jeff Wright. Bennett was good, but Bennett, they moved around. They put him inside. I thought he didn't play with as many good front seven defensive guys as LT did or as Reggie White did, and that's my opinion. Like, Talley was obviously good, but, like, I'm taking Seth Joyner over Talley. Like, Seth Joyner was awesome. And that's
all right.
What do you mean? Yeah, well, I know you love Talley and you're going to pander to him. I got that. Like, he's a good player, but, like, Seth Joyner was like he was an all-pro. Like, he was good. I know you don't remember because you were smoking weed or drinking or whatever the fuck you were doing in your 30s then. But anyways, that's my Jeff Wright. I mean, and Jeff Wright was in a Burger King commercial once. I don't know if you remember that. Was commercial.
He really? No, I don't remember that. Jeff
you
Wright's
can find
not a
it.
name that I think of when I think of the golden era of Buffalo Bills football, the Super Bowl era. I think of a lot of guys. Jeff Wright just always seems to escape my mind. And in fairness, too, I will say Ed Oliver probably gets a lot more attention. I would say with Bruce out there, Jeff Wright had, what did I say? He had 31 and a half sacks.
Yeah.
I'd say probably 20 of them might have been unblocked sacks where, they just forgot an assignment and he had a free run at the quarterback. But, dude, I don't know. I just thought that was really interesting that actually Jeff Wright has been a better sack artist than Ed Oliver, who was a top 10 pick, man. So I'm going to throw that
out. Hopefully something happens soon where he gets, I don't know. But
let me get to the next one here because you shit on this guy just a few minutes ago.
Oh, here we go. Phil Hansen is the greatest of all time.
Fred Jackson sat. Fred Jackson averaged for the Buffalo Bills 4.4 yards per carry. That is more yards per carry than Thurman Thomas, who averaged 4.2. That in itself is pretty wild to me. But anyway, it's 4.4. More than Thurman at 4.2, more than Joe Cribbs at 4.1, more than LaShawn McCoy at 4.3, more than Travis Henry at 4.0, and more than Willis McGahee at 3.9. So Fred Jackson's yards per carry, second all time in Buffalo Bills history to only O.J. Simpson. Do you have a thought on that? I know how you kind of feel about Fred, but the part of the stat to me that's wild, I never would have guessed in a million years that for his career, Fred had a higher yards per carry average than Thurman Thomas.
Well, it makes sense because Fred was never really the featured running back. He was not and he had less carries. I'm sure if you put up your carries, like how many carries these guys had per season, I bet you Fred will be like really late because Fred just didn't. He was the feature back. I think for what
Well, that's true.
2013 maybe he was. I don't even know because he was always splitting with Lynch. Then he was splitting with Spiller. So if you're only having like 10 carries a game, there's a good chance you're going to have a better yards per carry than those guys. So, but yeah, it's an interesting fact. I'm glad you brought it to my attention. Thank you, Pat. I'm sure you stole it from someone.
No, dude. Actually,
the jokester guy you saw today, he probably shared it with you. Who knows?
Well, I was actually wrong. I said he was third all time with yards per carry. That's not, or second. He's not. He's actually third. Here's the thing, though. O.J. Simpson is not first. O.J. Simpson is second. You know who's first? Joshua Patrick Allen.
No,
759 carries, and he's averaged 5.5 yards per carry. That's wild because you think of how many tush pushes he's had over the last couple of years. That would hurt your yards per carry average. But yeah, Josh is at 5.5. And to your point, Fred Jackson played 106 games. He had 1,279 carries. Thurman had 2,849. So Thurman had more than double the amount that he did. So I get that. LaShawn McCoy, though, Fred Jackson actually had, I'm looking at 400, over 400 more carries than LaShawn McCoy did here with the Bills. So Fred Jackson was a productive player. All right, now, is he an all-timer? No, probably, but I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting stat anyway.
Let me ask you this. Okay, from 2000 to 2017, who was the best running back the Bills had?
Say that again. From what years?
2000 to 2017. Who was the best running back the Bills had? We're talking the drought. Who was the best in terms of you got one game and you got to finish 8-8, and you're like, okay, this guy when he was here, and you could just use. I don't know, how do I want to phrase this? Because obviously, like Marshawn Lynch had the best career of all those backs.
Yeah.
But just But from what you saw here, from what you saw just here in Buffalo,
probably LaShawn McCoy. I would say probably LaShawn McCoy. From 2000 to 2017, probably Sean McCoy. Travis Henry was really good, but it was not sustained for a long period of time, and he ran the ball off. Actually,
I thought, I'm going to give look, Willis McGahee. He was, it's so crazy. They had these weird one-offs. Like McGahee in 2004 was awesome. Like they made that run where they should, they almost made the playoffs. He was carrying that team. I think he started like week 5 and he averaged like 100 yards a game. He was awesome. And then don't forget C.J. Spiller's 2012 season where he like averaged 5.5 yards a carry and he was unreal. And that's the thing about those running backs. Fred Jackson never had that season. You know what I mean? Where he was like, man, he had a great season. He was just always just like 700 yards every year, it felt like. So
Michael Partham in the live chat said, don't let Breon hear you talk about
Bree
stats. By the way, Bree. Mike, we got your Mount Flushmore that you suggested last week. Joe's going to be doing that here in just a few minutes. Let's get to, I think I got 2 more of these for you here. All right. So there's only been one Bills quarterback that has ever been sacked 50 or more times in a season. Who do you think it is? Only once. It's only happened once in franchise history.
Oh, it's Bledsoe.
Yes. Yeah. Drew Bledsoe, 2002, he was sacked 54 times. It's the only time in the history of the franchise a quarterback's been sacked at least 50 times. He came close the second time, too, because 2 people came real close. Drew Bledsoe also got sacked 49 times in 2003. And who do you think was the other one who got sacked 49 times? Never got to 50, but he got to 49.
It's Bledsoe, and then the other guy, he got to 49.
Yeah, and so did Drew. Drew got to 49 in 2003, and one other quarterback also got sacked 49 times in one season.
49 times? Okay, hold on. We're going to waste time. I don't care. Part of me wants to say Rob Johnson, but like I feel like he didn't play enough to get to 49.
He didn't have to play a lot.
Yeah.
It is Rob Johnson.
It is Rob. Okay. That's what what year? 2000?
2000. 49 times in 2000. Jeez, you look at those 2 seasons, Joe, with Drew. Oh, my God. Yeah. You want to talk about an all-time shit offensive line? Drew Bledsoe got sacked 103 times in 2002 and 2003. 2 years, 103 times.
If you remember, he got sacked so many times, and that was that's kind of what ended his career a little bit, was like he just was too much of a statue. And I remember when Malarkey took over, and if you look at his stats in 2004, Bledsoe didn't get sacked that much. I think he got sacked like 34, 36 times. I remember the preseason or the OTA was like they had a stopwatch behind him, and they were like, you need to get the ball off in like 3 seconds because they changed the offense so it wasn't like a classic, he's got to sit back there and drop back. But yeah, he got sacked a lot, and there was some like, Reuben Brown was on that line, and
I'll tell you the line. You want to hear the offensive line? I'll
tell you. I'll tell you what it was. Which year you want me to tell you? 2003.
Well, it's the same starting line, 2002 and 2003.
Okay, I'm going to tell you because
this is same general starting line.
We need to do a segment called Stump Joe. Like you should ask me trivia questions and see if you can stump me because you can't. It was Mike Williams.
Yep.
It was
right tackle.
Trey Teague was the center.
Yep.
Reuben Brown. Yep. Jonas Jennings,
left tackle. They actually had a different right guard in 2002 and 2003.
Was it Chris Ferrariel? Was he there?
No,
it was Marcus Sullivan.
He was in 2004. 2002 was Marquise Sullivan.
That's what I just said. I just said it. You didn't listen to me. I just said
I did hear you. And by the way, I actually had him on the show before.
Marquise Sullivan? Oh my God!
Yeah, a long time ago.
Where the hell did you find him at?
Mike Basillo was the starting right
Mike
guard
was number 61. He was terrible.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember.
So
him.
anyway, 103 times in 2 seasons. Josh Allen, by comparison, these last 2 seasons combined, has been sacked just 38 times in the last 2 years. Drew is at Josh Allen's only been sacked 97 times in the last 4 years. Drew got dropped 103 times in just 2 years. I'm gonna get to this last one here. Mm-hmm. Where is it? All right, here we go. Bills all-time single-season leader in interception return yards for a single season is I'm asking you a trivia question.
Yeah, you can ask me as a trivia question. I can get this.
Is the all-time single season leader in interception return yardage? And I'll say this: he's not like a He's not the most well-known player in the secondary, but he's not also some schluppy, no-name who just had one. It's not Leotis McKelvin. You know what I mean? It's not somebody who was a one-hit wonder. This was a
Can you
good
tell me,
player
is this like the 70s or what era is this?
It's near the Super Bowl era. It's around the vicinity of the Super Bowl era.
Okay.
It might even be in the Super Bowl era. It is.
Okay, Nate Odoms.
Nope.
Okay, hold on. Henry Jones. Henry Jones. I'm going to tell you what year. 92, because that was his second year.
Yes.
He had a pick six. I remember. I saw it. He had some long ones. I remember he returned one for 80 yards against the Colts. I remember, and he was awesome that year. So,
yeah,
all right,
1992. Dude, I have to give you credit for having a good memory. It's way better than mine. He had 8 interceptions in 1992. Two of them awesome. He returned 2 for a touchdown, including he had an 82-yard interception return for a touchdown. He averaged 32.9 yards per interception return for the Bills back in 1992.
He took over for Leonard Smith because Leonard Smith, I don't know what the hell happened. There's rumors about Leonard Smith. Go Google it, kids. But after Leonard Smith left in 91, Henry Jones was the first round pick. He took over in the starter, and he was great as a second year guy. He was there for a while. He was there till 2000. But he was dynamite.
Player. Very underrated player for the Buffalo Bills. Henry Jones, man, good player.
He was good.
Yeah, all right. So that's it with the fun facts. Before we get to our 2 segments here to round up, we'll just make this for 5 minutes. When it comes to the Buffalo Sabres right now, you watch Sam Reinhart score 4 goals to clinch a Stanley Cup for Florida, and you brought up a point to me when we were talking last week. It kind of feels like that Chris Drury, Dan Briere leaving the Sabres kind of feeling right now when you look at the success that Sam Reinhart and Jack Eichel have had with the Sabres, and you go back to that 2016-2017 Sabres team, that had Jack and Sam and Ryan O'Reilly and Evander Kane and Rodriguez and Montadors. Robin Leonard was the goalie. Good team, man. Good talent, but obviously they didn't do well. Just kind of elaborate on that for a few minutes. Then we're going to get to our Mount Flushmore and True or False segment.
Yeah,
how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I asked on Blue Sky about what was more if you factor in. This is a question I want to ask you too. If you factor in the aftermath, what was more devastating? Drury, Briere leaving, or Eichel, Reinhart getting traded. And I guess the question I want to ask you is, when someone leaves, do you factor in what they did afterwards? Do you factor that in? If the guy,
sure,
do you factor that in?
Yeah.
You do? So you're a jilted lover. You'll be annoyed.
It makes your organization look worse. Ryan O'Reilly didn't play up to his potential here. He said he was not happy, or he lost his love or whatever. He gets traded, goes to another organization, and he wins the Conn Smythe Trophy for the playoff MVP and wins the Stanley Cup. That tells you that's a black eye. That's a stain on the organization when things like that happen. And it happens with the Sabres all the time.
So I bring that up because Drury, Briere, when they left, Drury didn't do dick. I mean, he had an okay first year with the Rangers, but then he kind of fell off. Mm-hmm. The Rangers weren't very successful. They were all right. They I think they maybe won a playoff round here and there, but they weren't great. And then Briere did good. Briere did really well. And my point was, at the time, look, when I put this up on Blue Sky, I felt like a lot of older people who remember, it's always in the moment. In 07, it was devastating. It was horrible when they left. I still can get fucking fired up thinking about that. Mm-hmm. Way more than I can think about getting Eichel and Reinhart traded. But at the same time, today, I'm about as disconnected to the Sabres as humanly possible. I think you only watch the Sabres because you have a podcast and you are obsessed with ratings and all that shit that you watch them. But I think a lot of people are so disconnected to the Sabres now, whereas 07, everyone was connected. So losing those guys in 07 was a bigger heartbreak as now. But what those guys are doing, Reinhart's a 50 goal scorer. I did not have Reinhart on as a 50 goal scorer here in Buffalo. He was that 20 to 30 goal guy.
25 goals was his career high with the Sabres.
Yeah, exactly. So and then he's just unreal right now, and he's awesome. And and like Eichel, he won a cup too, and he's great, and that's where I'm at. Like, I was curious, like, in terms of like how fans feel in terms of that, because if I was still as connected to the Sabres and I loved them and I lived and died by them, like in my opinion, I think you can make a case where that's more devastating if you care about the aftermath, because the aftermath for the Sabres after 2007, again, they won a division, they made the playoffs twice. Briere went to the finals, but he didn't win a cup or anything. While these two guys have won 3 cups between them, so it's just a little bit of like that. I don't know. I asked that on Blue Sky, and I felt like a lot of the older fans who are more disconnected or they're not as happy. Obviously, no one's happy with them, but I felt they all felt 2007 was, and at that moment it was devastating. But the hangover afterwards is just unreal. Like, for these guys to win cups, that did not happen to Briere at all.
They're both really annoying. It's tough seeing so many guys. I think 11 players have won Stanley Cups since leaving the Sabres during this era. They've won 11 cups. You said between those 3, Sam, Jack, and Ryan O'Reilly, actually it's 4 cups they've won between them, because Sam has now won the last 2 years in a row. But going back to 2007, we thought that team was going to win a Stanley Cup. And the matter to lose both your star players instantly, even though they still held on, that just goes to show you. You said they made the playoffs twice. Imagine if they would have kept both those players. What could have been? This team that we've been watching for the last several years, watching these other guys go and become what they've become, is annoying. But this was not a team that was even shit. They didn't even make the playoffs, let alone win a fucking Stanley Cup. Where it felt like the Stanley Cup was within grasp with those guys. So that would be a reason why I would say.
Hey, Pat, is there any chance I can get another beer out of the fridge, or no? You gonna allow me that or no?
Yeah, you know what? You could get another beer, and I'm actually going to take on the video side here a quick 15-second break or so, and we'll be,
you can just talk.
Be right back. We'll be right back after this quick break. All right, we're back here. Joe from Queens is pulling a Tone Pucks when Tone used to be on the show, and he insists on getting another beer literally at the halfway point or more than the halfway point of the show. But anyway, this has been I don't want to say a throwaway episode. There's just not a lot of stuff to talk about. So that's why we spent so much time today talking about things like ranking the Bills' home games and talking about some fun facts and things like that. And now that Joe's coming back here and he's got another beer, you have returned to what kind of beer? Same thing?
No, different one. Okay, so this is I'm interested in. Okay, this is from Allagash, which is a brewery I know you're not familiar with because you don't know anything, but it's called Allagash. It's a beer you can get at a lot of different bars. This is when we went to Maine. It's called Allagash from Maine with Love. So look at the picture on the video side, and it's 9.5% alcohol. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell in my mic. 9.5% alcohol. Strong golden ale aged in coffee beans. On coffee beans. I don't know what the fuck that means. But enjoy this rich, robust, strong golden ale. Sweetness that enhances fresh brewed coffee flavor. You'll also find notes of apricot and honey in this. So this is a very... this is intense. I'm very excited. I'm just going to... As you can tell, it's the off season here on Talking Buffalo,
which is a great segue. You inadvertently just gave us a great segue into what we're actually doing. Which is funny. I saw Jason in the live chat says, well, let me pull this up here. Sometimes throwaway shows are the best. Yeah, sometimes they are. You know what though? This isn't one of them. It's okay though. That's okay. You said off season, content, off season stuff. That's going to lead us to this week's Mount Flushmore. What do you think of the beer, by the way? If you're watching on the video side live anyway, Joe's got a not very happy. Is it maybe because you use the same glass? You think that may have an effect?
No, it's interesting. There's a lot going on here. I'm probably going to give more of these beers away for those. If you want to come over, it's got to give them away. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot. I don't know.
Let's get into our Mount Flushmore. You said it. Off season I want you to come up with this week's Mount Flushmore courtesy, by the way. Shout out Michael Partham, Trainwreck Sports, who at least earlier he was here live in the chat.
Parthon, you better be at Imperial Pizza next week. I know you're going to come. You're going to come through. Bring the manic, depressing guy, whatever his name is. Maniac. I thought it was manic. Is it? I thought it was
manic depressive guy.
I don't know. I just said manic depressant. I don't know. He's not depressant, but yeah, bring the manic guy. Bring that one dork that got the one Josh Allen tattoo, and I'll apologize to him live on the podcast and go, look, man, I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings that one day. Anyways, I digress. Okay, so this is like the Mount Flushmore.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, hold on. Let me set it up. But first, I actually want to address the comment because this is really generous. Big Papa Bill said, "Hey Pat, why don't you have a member subscription option or super chats? Might at some point actually."
No, we do it next week. Today, I need some money, bro. What do you think? This is free? What the fuck is going on? Do you think these beers come free, buddy? Like,
people,
yes,
I do get that often, and I always say
he doesn't get that often. I get that often, people. Nope. I get that. No one wants to pay this fucking guy. Oh, sorry.
He's dropping his mic. This is definitely live TV here on a late Sunday night. But just subscribe to the show. Buy some Talking Buffalo merch, which, by the way, that's going to be dropping this week. I'm working with Buff on Weck. Got a really cool page and got some stuff coming out. So I'll be talking about that this week, though. But anyway, setting up this Mount Flushmore, courtesy of Mike Partham. Off-season content. And for everyone who don't know, if you're new to the show, most people do Mount Rushmores, the best of. Joe and I do Mount Flushmores, which obviously is the worst of. So this is Joe's worst off-season content. Suggested again. Shout out Michael Partham. So,
all right.
What do you got?
All right. So number one, we got to go with how is Buffalo. Every guy who gets drafted or signed, we got to do a story. How do you like Buffalo? How do you like the Wings? How do you like the people? How do you like Wegmans? Wait a minute. Do you like blue cheese or do you like ranch? Because if you like ranch, you need to get out of town. Like, always with that bullshit. I just can't with that crap. You know, like, how is Buffalo? Like, enough. I hate that. Like, knowing, I mean, I know people care. I don't care. They're all going to say it's great. Like, who's going to say it? It sucks. It's cold. I hate it here. Like Pat does. Constantly complaining about it. I
really do too.
Yeah, so that's number one. Like, you know, I just like the how is Buffalo narrative. We got to go to the draft. I got to go with look. I don't mind mock drafts. You know, I know people hate them, but you know what I hate? It's when people get pissed off about draft picks beyond like the 5th round. Like, who gives a fuck? You're just looking for special teams. I know you, especially you. Pat, I'm talking to you. I'm talking shit to you. You gotta give hot takes on some guy you didn't hear of until fucking Joe, until the Podfather talked to you about him, and then you gotta be like, this guy's overrated. Like, who cares about guys beyond the 5th round? Like, no one cares. Like, that's just annoying. Like, don't care about like guys around the 5th round, like as rookies. That's just stupid. Everything involving OTAs, number 3. Everything. OTAs are a joke. They're abysmal. I just can't even. I don't want to hear who the OTA MVP was. I don't want to hear about how a guy looked in shorts or the bullshit. Like, Keon Coleman looked like he gained some weight when the photo is obviously like was a lot farther away last year than it was the one you were comparing to. I don't know who did that. I think it was one of the Cover One bros. It would have been, you know, Fart Raid or whatever the fuck is out there. But like, that's just the dumbest thing. Everything about OTA is just embarrassing. Like, you know, it's just a joke. So get the hell out of here. Then finally, I'm going to go with, you know, we got to go with golf selfies. You know,
I would have been stunned if this was not on your Mount Flushmore.
That's every Bills bro beat and the content bros got to show off what they're doing in the offseason or vacations. And it's usually just at the golf course. I'll give Salfie over at It's Always Game Day in Sal's house credit. He does look like he has a fun off season. You know, he had this past weekend he was at a Yankees game and Chicken Wing Fest
playing bocce ball today on Sunday.
Yes, and then he was at the Fanatics thing too. Like, you know,
New York City Saturday.
He's got he has a live blog of his stuff. But as long as he's not posting golf, which he does, so he's he's gonna get talked shit about. Like the golf bro stuff, I can get the hell out of here. No one cares about
the golf. Who are the golf bros?
No, you see, you're trying to get me to talk shit.
Nate, no, Nate Geary.
Why don't you tell me? Why don't you get some heat on you for once?
Well, I'm just thinking of who are the Buffalo media people that like playing golf a lot. It's Nate. It's Sal. It's Jeremy from GR.
He does, and I like Jeremy.
Take a lot of pictures, though. He might talk about going to play, but you don't see like Jeremy selfies very often. John Scott.
Bro Scott, yeah.
Bro Scott. I love these names.
Josh Reed definitely is a part of the
Josh Reed's Joe DiBiase's been out there some.
Thad Brown. And it's all of them. The only one that isn't is
pretty much
it's all of them.
You're saying
I'll give the only one out. The only one I will
Perino.
The only one I will tolerate is Jay Skursky because his son seems like a prodigy.
Dude, he had a hole in one this past week, by the way.
Yes, I saw it on somewhere. But yes, that I can tolerate. It's your kid. Good for you. I'm fine with promoting your kid. But promoting yourself, I don't get it. Like, look, I hate golf. I've told you that before. But it's not like watching golf. Like, I don't like watching golf I don't get it, but I get if people like it. I don't get promoting golf selfies. Like, it's a fucking, like, look at me. I'm in the grass. It's the same shit every day. It's even if you're taking a photo selfies. At you love selfies,
I take selfies all the time. Not in golf. Not only I don't golf. I can't golf anymore. But I don't want to be a hypocrite. I take selfies all the time.
But but like you take them at like wing places or whatever. Or I don't know. You show me different chicken wings.
Hey, here, look at me. Look at Patrick. Patrick's drinking a beer. Patrick's at the bar.
I only do selfies if I'm drunk or I'm with my kids. So. But that's
now you're in your baby era though. Like if you go on your IG, your story, 99% of your things are fucking pictures of you and the missus taking the kid out to do things.
You got to admit, my IG is great. Like the kid's having a time of his life.
It is pretty good, and you're pretty good at that. What do they call it when you do this? What's that kind of boomerang? Boomerang kind of like quick clips. You do that. But yeah, everybody, Aaron Quinn, somebody mentioned him in the comments. He is a big golf on the content creators.
I got to figure out a nickname for Aaron. I can't figure out what the fuck, like Q-tip.
It won't be better than Greg T-Bone Johnson.
No, he's just Greg T-Bone. He doesn't get his last name. It's Greg T-Bone.
I cannot wait. I love Greg. I cannot wait to tell him that. I actually think that's
when is are you guys ever going to do your bro content summit? Like, I know you're supposed to do it and you had to cancel it.
Hopefully in the next couple of weeks because before training camp starts.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's the annual round table.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
Look for that, by the way. Me, Bruce Nolan, Joe Marino, and Greg. It's gonna be a good time. Pretty much everybody, the golf bro in the Buffalo media, the dudes anyway, except for Joe B. Joe B don't mess
Thank God.
Golf.
Neither does Tim doesn't. Neither does Tyler Dunn. Who by the way, had a kid this weekend, so shout out to him.
That's awesome. Rocco,
he's got 3. I don't know what the fuck he's thinking with 3, but good for you, buddy. All
right, let's get to our true and false segment. I'm going to ask you some questions here, true and false, kind of mix it up a little bit. This is how we'll end the show today. True or false, Damar Hamlin is going to be starting for the Bills at safety in week 1.
Jesus Christ. I'm sorry. I just checked in on the score of the game.
It's a blowout now.
OKC's up 21. That sucks. Fucking
now
we can talk for like another half hour because I don't need to watch the game now. So thanks a lot, Pat.
Well, somebody in the comments, I got to find where it was, but somebody had a really good take about that injury with Halliburton. Anyway, but let's go. True or false? Damar Hamlin will be the starting Bills safety. He'll be starting at Bills at safety week 1 of the regular season.
Okay, so who would be? It would be Rapp.
Right now, it looks like Rapp and Bishop. Rapp's locked in if he stays healthy. Bishop.
Yeah, I'm going to say false. I think they want Bishop. I mean, I think he had his red shirt fucking freshman year. He's starting. It's going to be him and Rapp. All
right, the overwhelming majority of people who are in the live chat are agreeing with you. They're saying
thank you guys.
False as well.
You guys are
it's pretty
great.
Obvious. Look, the only reason why I would even say it's a question is because I am a little bit concerned about Cole Bishop just staying healthy. I know it's just minicamp, and a lot of guys were nicked up and didn't participate in minicamp a few weeks ago, but he didn't, and that concerns me. He missed last summer, and that kind of put him behind the 8 ball. So if he's healthy, Cole Bishop's a starter. I'm just not completely sold he will be, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. So I agree with you. I would say false. All right, true or false? Joey Bosa will avoid injury throughout training camp in the preseason, and he will be good to go Joey Bosa will be active for the Bills Sunday night, week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens.
I'm going to say true because I think they're just going to give him as many veteran day offs as possible so he can, I don't know, go to DC and go to a Trump rally or something. But yes, I think he's going to take as many days off. But yeah, he will be there week 1.
I want to pull up something from Tooch here. Our guy Tooch here in the video side. It's not really anything to do with the true and false part, but I like this take. He says Forrest will beat our Hamlin for third safety. I think he meant to say he'll beat out DeMar Hamlin to be the third safety on this team. I tell you, man, that's going to be a training camp battle to watch for one of those guys. Because if Jordan Hancock, the rookie, is going to be a safety, he's locked in that top 4. Hamlin versus Forrest could be a good battle, and there's not even a guarantee Hamlin is going to make the safety. Anyway, I know you don't give a shit about Mike.
Who's the guy they signed last year with the Chiefs? But he's
Edwards.
I wonder if he has a shot. You know, because he was supposed to be the guy last year, and then he got hurt, and they hated him and all that stuff. Yeah,
I'll say this: they're going to go into training camp. I guarantee you this. Cole Bishop's the favorite, but I promise you, they're going to go into camp where it's Bishop, Hamlin, and Forrest, and they're going to say Sean's going to say that they're going to have a competition, and whoever is going to emerge is going to emerge. But they're going to go into camp and have a competition. All right, a couple more here. We'll get a little bit silly too. Mentioned Sal Capaccio earlier. HBO Hard Knocks is going to be obviously filming. True or false? Sal Capaccio will be the first media member to be seen on HBO's Hard Knocks. So when you watch episode 1 at what's 2 minutes in, 25 minutes in, the first Buffalo person in the media that when you're watching HBO, you're like, oh, I know who that is, or I know who she is, whoever it may be. Sal Capaccio is going to be the first media member to be seen on HBO's Hard Knocks.
I don't know. I mean, let me think. What if I'm going to throw a curveball. I'm going to say Waro. Because Waro's going to yeah, because Waro usually asks like the first. I want to say Waro is one of the first questioners. Like he always gets his question in first.
And you think that'll make HBO though? I mean, look, it doesn't have to be. It won't be a speaking thing. It's not like anyone's going to sit down for an interview. It could just be a camera shot, like Josh Hamlin's talking, and you see whoever's right next to him on his right hand side. That would be the first person potentially who you would see.
Yeah, I wish we had like a lot of funds. I would say we should do like a betting line. We'd be like bookies and pay people out for that show.
Big Papa Bill said it's going to be Buffalo Plus.
Okay, that's a good. Who's Buffalo Plus again? It's Jenna Fantes or whatever his name is. Dan
Fates,
and then the older gentleman,
Mike Catalano.
Yeah, have you ever had Mike on this podcast before?
No, I've never had Mike on before.
You should have Mike on because he's been around for like a long time. That dude, he's been around, so you should have him on.
Steve Noble in the live just said Pat Moran will be bringing a Sunny Reds wing at camp on HBO. I will not. They're not going to let me on the field, so I don't think you're going to have to.
By the way, I try. If anyone wants, so that week, by the way, like we are in North Syracuse camping the week of camp. So if anyone wants to give me a camp pass, so I could bring my son with me, that would be awesome. Anyone, since I don't get paid by the king of podcasting over here. The czar, the freaking Stalin of podcasts over here. But yeah, if anyone wants to hook me up.
Let's get to a few more of these. I got 2 more. We talked hockey for a few minutes earlier. True or false? The Sabres make a trade involving the 9th overall pick at the draft, either before the draft next Friday. The draft is less than a week from today. They trade that pick either before the draft or on draft night. True or false?
Absolutely false. That's not happening. They love their draft picks. They're cheap. They don't got to pay them. Yeah, they love it. So,
all right. True or false? True or false here? You're going to love this one. Patrick is going to the Rick Springfield and John Waite concert at Art Park on July 5th. True or false?
Oh, that's true. You're going to be jamming the Rick Springfield.
It is
Jesse's
so
girl. Or yes, Jesse.
Dude, he is 75 years old, and he's still. I just seen a video of him at a show on YouTube. Mm-hmm. He still has, like, you talk about a rock star. He's got no shirt on. Your boy's 75 years old, and he's playing guitar on stage with no shirt on. It's just wild. Yeah,
well, I'm very happy. Please don't take your shirt off.
Show coming.
Don't take your shirt off during that performance to get his attention.
Yeah, I think we're done here, man. I was searching through the comments, and I got to tell you, I'm still getting used to this new platform. Which again, we were on YouTube and Twitter that worked live. Facebook did not, and that kind of annoys me. But there were a few good comments. But what I don't like about this new setup, opposed to when we use StreamYard, is that you were able to star comments. It's to save them for later, and they would have a you'd be able to go to them easier and access them. But you got to dig and sort through all these. It's ridiculous for doing a live show. Big Papa Bill, this is what he had said. Damn, Halliburton getting hurt is like Benford going out.
That's worse.
Back in the AFC Championship game.
I can't believe he got hurt. That's just fucking terrible. Like
right. It is worse, but it is a big deal. I mean, I'm talking about Benford. Obviously, Halliburton is the star of the team, and they were done. They held close after that. Now they're down. That's going to be over.
I just can't believe
Benford getting hurt was big for the Bills, man. That really did hurt them.
I feel bad. I feel bad. I'm sorry. I feel bad for the Pacers. I kind of feel bad for them. Like they knew and now like Halliburton, if it's an ACL, which it looks like, he's fucked.
Yeah, well, I think he tore his Achilles. That I think that's what it is. Just like I think, or not, I think Tatum did as well. Steve Noble also said Joe is like Craig Rivet on the After the Whistle.
I don't know if I like that as a compliment. I mean, Craig, he's a meathead, but sure.
Tooch says, Joe, would you rather drink that beer or Miller Lite Apple? I think he meant Busch Light Apple, but
this beer. I mean, look, it's fine. It's okay.
Why would you not like Busch Light Apple or just Busch Light General? Because it's cheap?
Yeah, because it's cheap.
Look, you're a beer snob and you're being cheap?
Yes, exactly. I am a beer snob. I mean, well, you know what? It's funny. So when I sometimes go to a tavern, I do want like a Miller Lite. Like I do when I go to bars, I do occasionally dapple in the poor man section like you do.
Yeah.
Of beers. But yeah. Don't cut me off even though I can't see you because your shit is lagging all fucking day long.
I don't know why. It's not on my end. It doesn't look like it is on my end.
You're like slow-mo on the video on my end. It's obnoxious. So like
we're going to be wrapping up in the next 5 minutes.
Thank God.
Most people are listening to this and don't really give a shit about the video. But for the people who actually are watching this live who can comment, I don't know if you're seeing Joe or either of us are lagging. If we are, kind of let us know. I haven't seen anybody in the comments really complaining about it, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. Jason said, we talked about this earlier, the NBA needs to shorten their season or they're going to slowly get cooked. Yeah, dude, 82 games, and then, like I said, the playoffs and the Olympics and coming right back is a long time. Harold says Yingling is cheap, but it's good. I'll tell you what.
All right.
In Florida, Yingling was very popular.
Oh.
You
a lot of shitty things in Florida popular, including the president. No, I'm just kidding.
Harold said there was no lag.
Sorry.
I'm still pulling up a couple more of these as they're coming in. Yeah. They will never do what Jason says, but watching the postseason this year, it's just bad ball, players hurt, players sitting out in the regular season.
No. The playoffs have been good, man. Come on. Don't be hating Jason. Come on, man.
Big Papa Bill says this is what the NFL is. This is why the NFL is king of U.S. sports. 1 game, sudden death playoffs, not crappy game 7 series or 7 game series. Sometimes sure, but listen, there's nothing better in sports than a game 7.
Yeah, I mean, I just can't believe that guy got hurt. I'm fucking real. Now we're gonna talk because now I was waiting for if it was like a 5-point game, I was gonna be like deuces to Pat, and then now I got to enjoy this mediocre beer that I picked out. Fucking mediocre.
Well, anyways, we're gonna get out of here for now, though. And like I said, a reminder for people.
Look, everyone. I got this, buddy. Okay, hold on. Reminder to everyone: we will be a week from tonight. I will be in person at Imperial Pizza. Pat is gonna buy a round for someone. Okay,
no,
yes. Well, you can get beer for free, possibly. Anyways, we're gonna be there. I want people to come. We're going to talk. I'm more than happy to buy some people some drinks because unlike Pat, I'm not a cheapskate. I care about our listeners. Pat just cares about listens. He cares about the numbers. He's
I don't care about the people.
Yeah, you just care about the money and the numbers. But anyways, you guys got to come. Anyone, Ralph Wilson Sr., we'll put you in the front table. Big Papa Bill, all you guys. Even the Partham, the Manic guy, we'll put all you guys there.
T-Bone.
He wants to drive up from Cleveland. The Podfather. He wants to fly from Charlotte. Aaron Quinn, if he can get away from his family, he can come up here too. God bless him too. Anyways, yes. Go ahead with your schmaz there, buddy.
That is enough of a preamble from you. Yes, we will be live next Sunday, 8 p.m. Imperial Pizza Joe will be with me. And then we're not going to be live on Sunday for probably the next 3 weeks or so after that. But we still will have Monday podcast and a Sunday night video on the YouTube side. But anyway, it's going to do it for this episode. Joe and his shitty drinking beer over there.
I wouldn't say it's shitty. It's mediocre. I mean, it's fine. It will definitely be one of those, oh, hey, have a beer, buddy. Here, you're having this. So enjoy.
You give that to him first. All right, guys, thank you so much. I don't want it. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this show. Thank you for watching, for listening. Be back. Brand new show coming up tomorrow.